Hey guys, Footy Focus Podcast, episode 25. So we'll review the trade and free agency period, which ended at 7:30, but there are a few more moves that filtered in after that time. So how did you find the last, 8 days, 9 days?
Yeah, hey everyone. Yeah, so it's Thursday the 12th and trade week just wrapped up. So it was a pretty boring lead up, to be honest. I thought it was one of the more anticlimax sort of leading up to the last hour, really. Maybe last couple of hours when there was a few more activity. But yeah, before that, I thought it was one of the most boring ones. Maybe that's because the salary cap, the amount is still up in the air and the list sizes just because of the weird. Maybe that's why.
Well, I think list sizes whether it got confirmed or there was a leak about it. But yeah, it's a lot of list managers were hampered. And I think I heard on trade radio, like I was listening to trade radio and I tuned off it a few times and listened to the US election and other pods. So a lot of padding and speculation until the last, probably 24 hours?
Yeah. The last 24 hours was okay. There was still a bit. I'm listening to, I think, a few hours today, and they only allowed trades after 3, so they didn't want trades to be done today in the morning and in the afternoon, just to get a bit more airtime, I think, and suspense.
I guess going forward, you reckon it should be that 1.5 week period, or you think it should be shortened?
I think 1 week, like 7 days, is probably a good amount.
Yeah.
Was this a bit longer? It was.
Well, I think the free agency period started on the Friday, so it was pretty much Monday to Friday, Monday to Sunday, and then Monday to Thursday. So what's that, 11 days?
It used to be longer, so I think this is better. Yeah, maybe. I mean, it's not going to change much. I reckon they're still going to come down to like the last couple of days where most of the bigger names. And I guess they're just tactics, right? I mean, clubs, they want to do everything that's in the best interest, so they hold off as long as they can. Because if they go too early, then they lose a bit of bargaining power. Yeah,
I think the AFL is just trying to make it a 12-month round sport, but I think you got to bring it back. For me, I think Monday to Thursday or Monday to Friday, because, like you said, the deals are going to get done in the last 48 hours, even if the trade period is 6 weeks long. Like, Saad requested a trade October 6th, took 36 days for the trade to happen. There was always going to be a first rounder given up in the trade. The rest was just haggling over picks, which, just waste of time, to be honest, because that held up a few other deals as well, probably.
Yeah, I mean, how much time do you need to do to haggle? Like, you just, an hour? Like, there's only so much options you can throw at each other. Like, what else is, I mean, there's an infinite amount of combinations, right?
Yeah, and I think every deal pretty much got done, I think, except for Dunkley. Like, he's staying at the Dogs, and Haitley's, that deal couldn't get done between the Giants and Crows, so he'll walk to them, I think, pre-season draft pick 1. So I think every other deal got done. So that just proves that, probably don't need that one.
Exactly, all the contracted players got done. The ones that didn't are the uncontracted, except Haitley. But I think the Dunkley one, we'll talk a bit about it soon, but that was a bit of a stretch, especially after Essendon kept refusing Bulldogs what they wanted. So but otherwise, I was a bit surprised Treloar one got done in the end. I think there was no word about it until after the deadline, and it came through. So we'll talk a bit about that when we talk about Collingwood. But I think we'll just go through all the clubs and we'll just give them a grade. So we might grade them from A to clubs who've got the players they targeted for a good value and they still maintained a good draft hand, to Fs, and they're the clubs that sort of lost players for not much gain.
Yeah, so kick off with the Roos. There was, I guess, delisted 11 players after round 18, and then probably didn't expect too much apart from losing players, but it probably turned out a little bit better than what Roos fans probably could have predicted.
Yeah, so we'll talk about Kangaroos and Port Adelaide in a bit more detail, and then we'll go through the list just because they're our clubs. And heading into this trade period with, and I quote, a rabble of a club. That's what Damien Barrett and some commentators were describing North Melbourne. I think we came out in the end winners. Just the accumulative result. I mean, losing Brown was disappointing. He's been our marquee player and star for the last sort of 3 or 4 years. And the value we got for him was a little bit unders from what I did expect. I know that we devalued him and the media kept saying second rounder, but I seriously thought we'd get a pick around like 20 to 25, like value, not that pick exactly, but maybe a couple of like second rounders. Ended up being similar, 29, pick 29 is what the value was. So yeah, but that pick, those picks we got from Melbourne helped us to get Jaden Stevenson, which was one of the biggest stories of today. Especially the fallout after he did a couple of interviews and it came out and it sort of blew up a bit.
George Buckley.
I don't think he did it. I listened to those interviews live and he didn't do it intentionally. It was just the questions he was asked and he was being upfront and honest.
Yeah.
Which was great. I thought he spoke really well, by the way, just in terms of media training. So I think, yeah, being a high draft pick and sort of a player in the spotlight, I think, yeah, it sounds like he's pretty smart and he's got a reasonable head on his shoulders. So, yeah, with Higgins leaving, I think he could be the perfect replacement for media duties down the track. How do you find the whole, I guess Ben Brown and Jaden Stevenson sort of that part of the day?
Yeah, I mean, the Ben Brown and even the Higgins one, like coming into the trade period, you probably thought it was a foregone conclusion that they were gone. But like you said, to get, Stevenson, who's kicked 60 plus goals in his first 2 years, won the Rising Star. Started the grand final on fire, kicked I think the first 2 goals. So yeah, to get a player like that on a 5-year deal as well, without a coach, it says a lot. And yeah, there's a few other players which you got as well, which you can talk about now. But yeah, you did pretty well.
Yeah. So looking at the overall, so we lost a little bit with Brown, but we gained that with Higgins. I thought like pick 30 is a really good pick for a 30, soon to be 33-year-old. And then the Jaden Stevenson was a massive, pretty big win. Maybe not. Yeah, I'd say massive. I guess his contract is pretty lengthy, and there are question marks. There are some question marks and risks. And then we got R2. How do you say his name?
Boston Woolagi. I don't know. Just call him R2. R2.
R2, yeah. Don't worry, we'll learn it. But he's Joffa's great grandson or something. He's got some relation to him. So that was a bit of a stake line sort of thing. But then we also got Aiden Cole and then Lockie Young, essentially for free. And Aiden Coles are going to be a good pickup. If he can stay fit and play 22 games a season, then I think he'd provide that experience in defense, especially after Tarrant retired. So, yeah, from that, we lost Higgins, who sort of had to go. Like, he wanted to go for family reasons. And we weren't playing him in his sort of natural position. We were looking at a future beyond him. And similar with Brown, we're sort of looking at a future beyond Brown. So would it be nice to get a bit more for him? But I think Melbourne's a good fit and hopefully he can have success and help Melbourne have success there. Yeah, overall, I'm really happy and we've given us a B, but you've upgraded us a bit.
Yeah, I think a plus because, I mean, Core, I think, has been on record saying the Hawks chased him after, Shaw left. So to keep him a great effort. Lockie Young, I think that's, took advantage of the delisted free agent rules there. And Stevenson's a large part of that B plus grade for that. What about Lockie Young?
Bulldogs eventually made us trade for him. So, I don't know. I think the AFL needs to clarify some rules and make it a bit more black and white, but we still didn't give up much.
So they've offered him a 3rd year on the rookie list, and because of that, he can essentially move to another club, right?
Yeah, but then they said they offered him a senior list spot.
Okay.
Which meant they had to trade him. So depends what comes first, or if what comes first matters, or this is the final offer. So I think a bit more clarity in that, but it ended up being essentially the same thing. So it doesn't matter there. And I'll just quickly touch on we managed to hold on to pick 2 and pick 11, and then added pick 30 and 39. So we still maintain a reasonably good draft hand. And the future picks, I don't think we touched our future picks. I'm not 100% sure, but yeah. So yeah, that's a job well done from the coachless Kangaroos. So I think Brady Rawlings and Scott Clayton done a good job. We'll move on to Port.
Yeah, so I think the only player we were looking at was Fantasia. Then Aaliyah came into the fray, and I thought it was just Port just being aggressive to offer him a contract. Didn't think the Swans would let him go that easily, but I think they needed to offload some money to pick up Hickey, and I think they're pretty stocked with Rampy and McCartan down back and Melican. So I think they were pretty happy to get rid of him, which was a bit surprising because I really rate him. I think he got injured in the prelim in 2016 to miss the grand final, but he's a good size, 26. Over that 195 centimetre that we need down back. Like, he's not going to take a Hawkins or anything like that, but to have a player like him that you can swing back and forward, especially after Hoff left, I think, he's definitely a best 22 player, I would have thought, and a good age too.
Okay, so my only concern was, he's not that big gorilla who can take key forwards like Hawkins. So is your plan just to keep playing Cluries and Jonas on those guys and have Aaliyah as the intercept marking player?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, the gorilla you're talking about is probably James Frawley, and he's retired. I think the Saints are chasing him. There's probably no other. I mean, Kyle Hardigan's not really. You wouldn't want to play him on a Hawkins in a final, but I think they're probably the only two. Frawley's the only one I would have taken, but at that age, I think it just doesn't match our list profile. So I think we're going to back the defensive system in. It's a future second-round selection too, so it doesn't cost us any points this year to get Lockie Jones, next-gen player, and, hopefully won't cost us getting Jace Burgoyne next year as a father-son.
And Essendon blinked first with the Fantasia deal, so you guys ended up getting him without having to put up a future first-rounder, which is fair and which was, realistic.
Yeah, I think, 33 games in the last 3 years, on his talent alone, if he's played a reasonable number of games a year, then, first rounders, the market value. But, we were never going to give up that, I think. And, always pick 29 was on the table, and that's gone. And then, just a swap of fourth and third round picks. It's a bit hard to talk about the swap of picks because you never know what they might blow out to with, next-gen players or father-sons. Or free agency picks too. So to get those two players fills a need too, allows Butters and Rosie to push up into the midfield more. So you're probably looking at Fantasia and Motlop as the genuine crummers. Motlop being a pretty high priced crummer, but just allows that mix. And you can probably play Robbie Gray permanent forward as well. Yeah.
So I agree. So these players can add something to your best 22, and Port Adelaide didn't do a whole lot. Probably didn't have to. Your list is pretty balanced, not lacking anything obvious. I've given you guys a C. So just that middle range. So didn't do exceptionally well or didn't do terribly. So how do you feel about that, Greg?
Yeah, I think it's probably average. It's not. It's probably just a pass mark. Like, Ali is not a gun by any stretch. Fantasia could be a gun, but I think in terms of letting players go, I think Riley Bonner was probably the only one. I thought he might have been thrown into the Fantasia deal, but I don't think the Bombers wanted him, even though Saad has let go, so they might need a penetrating kick down back. But to not get rid of anyone too, that's a good effort. So hopefully, can continue that.
No, it was good to hang on to him just for depth, because he's a decent player, and I think he still manages to play a few games a year. So.
Yeah.
I think you need that from a premiership contender.
So we'll talk about, do you want to start off with the big success stories or the failures?
I guess we just start with the top success. The clubs that we think deserved an A. I've got Carlton on that list because I guess a big part of it is the Zach Williams and getting free agents, quality free agents, helps. With that grade, so they didn't have to give up anything but big money. But he helps helps Cripps and Welsh in that midfield. And do you want to talk about Saad?
Yeah, so Williams, I think he's just got to live up to the big money now I think 6-year contract or 5 years, and he's just he probably just needs to be that third domino behind Cripps and Walsh to. You wouldn't want to play him off half back. He's got to play midfield to justify that kind of deal. Adam Sard, I think, pick 8. I think, pretty market value for that. Top 3 in the BNF last 3 of the 4 years. Probably unlucky not to be a All-Australian potentially at least one of those years. Definitely a younger and more damaging version of Cade Simpson, and you can keep him and Doherty down back, and even if clubs tag one of them can get off the leash. So it's a great pickup for the Blues too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so pick 8 in itself is like way overs.
Yeah.
But I think Essendon weren't budging, and to make it a bit even, they did some pick swapping, and it came down to about pick 12, I think. But that'll get pushed out by 2 or 3. So it could be about pick 15 when Essendon gets to select that player. So, which is all right, which is not too bad. And I think Essendon slightly wins that. And you'd say finals would be a must now, and there'll be a lot of pressure if they don't make finals.
Oh yeah, it's a complete must. You're picking up players of this quality, and offering. I think Sard's on a 5-year deal, Williams on a 6-year deal, so on big money. So. It's finals or bust, I would have thought. And, you would like to think Cripps re-ups as well, because you wouldn't want Cripps being out of contract in a year or so with no finals being played.
I think he's out of contract next year, and my Fremantle might come sniffing. And Kerner's also got, he did his knee, so I think that's going to be a vital.
I would have reduced the grade, but Kerno's not really part of the trade period. So I think it's a 3 or 4 month recovery for that fractured kneecap. So, it's a big setback, because I think him and Cripps and Walsh are probably their 3 marquee players.
Yeah, so, good trade period for Carlton. And St Kilda are also getting a, again, mainly driven by that Brad Crouch free agency coup. And I think what they paid for him is a big factor. 600,000 over 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, 40th trigger, I think it is. Yeah, so it's 3. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And they also managed to get some backup for Marshall with McKernan coming in, the delisted free agent. They didn't do too much, but I think Crouch will definitely improve their midfield depth.
Yeah, and I think Carlisle's triggered a 1 year, and if they can add Frawley to that as well. The grade might even improve. And, Crouch, like you said, he was asking for $1 million last year. So to be paying 600, which is, about fair, I would have thought. Saving a lot of money in the cap for, when a Marshall comes out of contract or Steele even.
Yeah, and they added Jack Higgins, and they only slid back 4 picks in the first round and gave up a future second, I think. So I think that's another good deal. Who can complement their smalls like Gresham and Maloney. So the only negative is that they couldn't move guys like Dunstan and McKenzie, I think might be another one.
Yeah, and Webster as well.
Yeah, so they'd have to hang on to them. But other than that, it was another good, successful trade period to back up last year. Is this going to take ages? Or?
No, we'll rush through them now.
Okay.
The Lions, so we gave them a B. So don't know who was the main pickup, and Cockatoo as well to pick up a pick 10, former pick 10, and not give up too much. Hopefully they can do the same with what they did with McCarthy as well. What do you think about the Witherton and Martin? Getting rid of those two or trading them out?
Yeah, Witherton. Yeah, I was a bit surprised because he was one of their promising best young players, but you hear things about his accountability and defensive work, and he was on the fringes. So I think they're still paying a big portion of his salary, but they did a trade with West Coast, so seeing potentially being as a heir to Shannon Hearn role, which is a good get, and I think he'd probably like playing under Adam Simpson because he was a Kangaroo supporter growing up. So maybe that was one of the reasons as well. But Steph Martin. So they lose a bit of ruck depth. So I'm not too sure if Oscar McInerney can do the ruck by himself.
Yeah, they're putting a lot of faith in him. I think he stepped up when Martin was out a lot of this year, and I think Danaher will play second fiddle in the ruck. And yeah, Witherton, I think Birchall and they got Starcevic, Archie, like they were just ahead of him. And yeah, not sure whether you'd want Birchall or Witherton for the next 5-6 years, but Birchall's probably only got a year left, so interesting.
Yeah, so if Danaher can get his body right, I think they're definitely in the top ranked teams for the Premiership. They don't get an A because they just paid Danaher too much, I think, for his contract, like 800 plus thousand for 3 years. I think just a bit over, and that's probably just to trigger that free agency and Essendon not matching.
Yeah, correct. So while we're talking about Danaher, we'll talk about the Bombers. So we've given them a B as well. So they missed out on Josh Dunkley, which is probably the only negative I would have thought. Dogs just didn't want to get rid of him, just too valuable for them. And like we talked about Danaher, to get pick 7 for him, for a guy 15 games and 18 goals the last 3 years, and then another first rounder for Sards. They've got pick 6, 7 and 8 currently, which is a great start to rebuild the club and get some A-grade talent in.
Yeah, and I think hanging on, getting 8th for Sard was another reason why they get pushed up from a C to a B, because they did lose quality, but they got compensated over what they're worth. And similar with Fantasia, to be honest. Even pick 29 seems a bit overs to me. Caldwell, they managed to get him like in the last minute, and with a swap of late, like second round picks, but that equated to about pick 17, which I think was about fair in the end. And yeah, Peter Wright comes in to fill in that role as a full forward. So I think they did okay, and maybe not getting Dunkley is a blessing in disguise, potentially, if they can nail their first round picks this year.
Yeah, I think that the asking price was just too much. Like 2 first rounders, way too much. Even a first rounder, like you can get a good quality youngster in. Like Dunkley's got holes in his game as well with his disposal and things like that. So if you can get A-grade talent in, look, they've got better draft picks than Port had when you got Butters, Rosie and Dersma. So all 3 picks are, much better overall.
I guess Essendon don't know what they're doing, just direction-wise. Like they're not bottoming out and they're not sort of tried to top up a bit. So I don't know. I think missing out on Josh Dunkley is going to be not the best. But we'll see what happens. Moving on, we gave the Western Bulldogs a B as well. So this was before the Treloar trade went through. Like, would you still give him a B, or does that get pushed up to an A?
I would give him an A, because Treloar and Martin, especially the Martin, because that's probably the biggest hole apart from GWS needing a ruckman. Bulldogs needed a genuine ruckman to support English until his body matures. So I'd give him an A. But
yeah, okay. I think I agree, because Treloar, what they paid for Treloar, and they're paying like 66% of his salary or something.
Yeah.
And they also improved their forward goal kicking power with Mitch Hannon. I think he's a decent player, so he can provide something there. And yeah, like you said, Steph Martin, I reckon he might play some games, but not all, just depending how his body goes.
Yeah.
Because he's pretty old, and I think he might just give him English to chop out games against Collingwood and Melbourne, where he's up against the best right. And I should note, they traded their pick 14 and they got some other picks and a future second, I think, from Collingwood, and that'll help to match the bid for Jamara Ugelhagen, who's touted to go sort of top 3. So.
Yeah, so you got to add him. They're getting the best player in the best 18-year-old in the country.
Yeah, and without finishing in the bottom. I think I agree. A for them. To Melbourne, we gave a B as well. How do you think that? Is that good? Yeah. Probably, yeah. Maybe a B plus even.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I mean, look, Ben Brown. Like you compare his numbers over the past 4 years to Jeremy Cameron or any key forward, it stacks up pretty well. So to get him as a number one, you got him as a number one tall. The backs are pretty set up. You got Wiedemann as a second key, and Tom McDonald's probably the only one. Probably would have liked to get rid of him in his contract, because I can't really see a place for him in the lineup at the moment.
But he does provide like a good
depth
player. Yeah, I reckon he'd provide a good depth, especially as a defender. If like May gets injured, he can slot him in. So he's expensive depth, but
I think the money's the issue. But he's definitely a good player. I think he's probably going to lose some weight. I think he got put on some weight just to bulk up and play key forward. So once he loses that weight, he'll probably take advantage of his aerobic capacity.
Mm-hmm. And they got overs for Braden Cruz because normally you have to give up a bit to get Ruckman in, and they got picked 31, which I thought was a good deal for Cruz for a 14-gamer.
Yeah, they needed to pay overs. Like you can't go around with Mumford, with Jacobs retiring as well. So
and Melbourne should also mention they traded their future first round pick again, so they strengthened their draft hand in this year's draft with the pick swap with Brisbane. So they have picks 18 and 19. So they must see something.
So they've got 2 first rounders now, haven't they? This year.
Too late first. Yeah. Back to the grades, and we're up to C's now. So given Adelaide a C, mainly because they lost a free agent and didn't get compensated for his value, like market value. I think they were just shy of about 5 or 6 picks from what they could have got for Brad Crouch in an open market. Would you agree? I reckon he would have been worth about in the late teens, and they got like early 20s.
Yeah, I'm not sure whether the drugs incident cost him or whether his asking price was too high, but yeah, you're right. They probably could have got something a bit better for Crouch. And
that's just how the system is.
And Rory Atkins too, so he left to the Suns, which I don't think that's neither here nor there. Not a best 22 player, and to let him go on a 5-year deal, not that big of a loss. I mean, they got a pretty strong draft town. They obviously got pick 1. You think Riley, Fieldthorpe,
or maybe McDonald. Maybe they'll get a key forward, probably. Yeah. And Haitley, like we said before, might walk into them through the preseason draft.
Yeah, I think they'll get Haitley at pick 1. So that's a former first round pick 2 years ago. So that's decent for them. So I was speaking about the Giants. So Jeremy Cameron was the big domino, and they did end up getting 3 first rounders. They got 2 seconds going back, but to get 3 first rounders is a pretty good haul when they couldn't get a player like Parfitt or Menegola or Radigalia. So it's a great effort to get that. It's
better than pick 11, which they would have got if they had let him walk. So definitely better than that. So I calculated that, and it's equivalent to about pick 9, I think. So I think it might look good for GWS, like face value, but what they gave up and those second rounders, I think the points value, roughly it's about pick 9. So, which is not too bad, which is pretty good actually for Geelong. So they lost, Aiden Core and who else did they lose? Williams. They got compensated.
Yeah,
probably a bit overs for both.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to say to get a early first rounder for Williams, and Zach Lander was the other one. I think pick 54, which is I think 1 or 2 picks ahead of Jesse Hogan or behind. So he's worth market value for Zach Lander as Jesse Hogan these days.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. So we'll get to Hogan in a bit, but GWS, I think, a bit of a different trade period for them. So they haven't been in this situation before. So to lose their marquee player, and reckon they might look to trade some of these first rounders into next year's draft. Just because I think clubs like to just spread out the draft picks over a couple of years and not go too hard into one draft. So, and you can also still trade draft picks up until draft night. So I think we'll see a bit of movement here and there with picks. Another team we've given a C to is the Gold Coast Suns. I think, they didn't do much today, so I think their pick can stay their grade can stay as a C. How did you find their pickups?
Yeah, Markov and Atkins fill needs down back, running defenders. Whether they're best 22 automatics, not sure, but I think Markov's got some rave reviews from the Tigers this year, so hopefully he can slot in. Peter Wright, we talked about before, future fourth, probably another salary dump as well. He's on some big money, so he's not cemented in the team as well, so it's not bad to let go of him. And Will Brodie didn't get picked up, did he?
No, he didn't. I think those inside mids who lack a bit of pace are slowly fading fading out of the game, or maybe it was just this year because of the new the new quarter length. But yeah, him and a couple of others I think didn't attract too much interest. So there could be potential bust picks. But I think most importantly for Gold Coast is that they didn't lose anyone of note this year.
Yeah.
Which is a great, which is amazing. Because I mean, if something hadn't have changed, you might have gotten like a Ben King who's in contract, could have requested trade. But yeah, that didn't happen. So I think that's really positive.
Yeah, first season in a while. I think last season was the start when all those youngsters signed up, including Rankin and Lukosius. So they're pretty set. We'll talk about the Tigers. So Markov and Jack Higgins, who aren't best 22 players. So like we said before, if letting go of non-best 22 players, you're doing pretty well. Yeah. You're holding on to all the best 22s.
Yeah, I mean, which is such a strong list. This is what they have to do, like get rid of the ones that aren't getting opportunity and who would demand a bit more money, and then get in kids. So they just improve their draft hand a bit. They didn't need to attract any big stars. He's got to manage their cap. So I think a D is probably fair. So they'll probably lose a bit of value because I guess with the premiers, you're sort of more what's the word? It's just more willing to let go of players a bit cheaply.
Yeah, I mean, you look at their depth's pretty good too. Like you got Jake Archer who moves this year, and Ig Malesi down back for Markov. So you've got a lot of depth there as well. So it didn't really lose too much. Now, the other grand finalists, the Cats. So we gave them a D as well.
D. This was before the Cameron trade, so I don't know, maybe a D plus, maybe even a C. But I think the Cameron trade wasn't as bad, so I think it's about pick 9. Getting 2 second rounders is pretty good in a deep draft next year, so I think that's pretty fair, and he's definitely worth it.
Yeah, I think so too. I think without the hub life next year, hopefully, I think you'll be much better off. And look, when you get 3 first rounders for Tim Kelly, you're always probably going to have to give up 3 for Jeremy Cameron. So held on to Sam Menegola too, which was good. To get Isaac Smith and Higgins, just adds to the class. I know they're in their later years, but they're obviously in the window and hence trading the 3 first round picks.
Yeah, so they'll be in it. So I really hope they do win maybe a premiership like next year or the year after, just because they've been brave enough to do all these things. And I think at least one premiership. If it stops Richmond from winning another, would be pretty good. And Constable, like we talked about, Will Brodie, similar story there, and Lockie Fogarty to Carlton. He's another fringe player, so it'll just add to Carlton. Not much of a loss there. So I think Geelong, like Brisbane, definitely improved their premiership credential.
Yeah, I think Cockatoo's a slight loss, but that's only if he gets his body right, because he could be an absolute star if he gets right, like a McCarthy.
Yeah, just a bonus. Like, you've been in the system for like 5 or 6 years and played a handful of games. I don't have much hopes, unfortunately, but we'll see.
So the Swans, we picked up Hickey, who's become a 4-club player in 4 different states. The Exchange podcast was, I think, talking about he's the only one if he gets a game at the Swans. Filled a need there because Sinclair's obviously on the ruck and Naismith's out for the year. And ACL lost to Lealier, which probably brings down their grade too.
Yeah, they didn't do too much. They traded a few picks just to get some points for their academy kids. So they didn't have to do much. I think they had a tight cap as well with Franklin's contract. I think they've still got to pay a large portion of that. So they do take pick 3 and they'll get Campbell and Goulden. So didn't have to do much, and that's why they get the D. West Coast Eagles, we also gave a D. So similar boat to Sydney, I suppose, like a tightish cap, and they were very much limited with what they had in terms of draft.
Yeah, I think the only positive there is to get Witherton, because he's could be a star off halfback, like you said before, with Hearn retiring probably in a year or 2. To get him on the wide, Subiaco off the stadium, is a great get, especially I think the hands are pretty tied with the Kelly addition last year on that big money deal.
Yeah, and another premiership contending team. So I think Langdon and Witherton sort of help with their depth and potentially best 22 players as well. So, so they get a D in there again in the window. Moving on to our
The Hawks. So lost Isaac Smith. I mean, to get a third rounder for a player over 30 is not a bad result, but probably still unders, I would have thought. I mean, Kyle Hardigan.
Unders. You reckon 42's unders for Smith?
Yeah, I reckon a second round is probably fair for Smith. I reckon it's pretty.
They weren't expecting anything. They weren't expecting anything.
He's an above-average player, though. I understand what the Hawks want, but if you're just talking about
like Hawthorn, they weren't expecting to get compensated for Smith
at all.
Yeah, they were surprised. That's why they traded for Hardigan instead of recruiting him as a free agent not to dilute the value.
Okay,
maybe they're right. Maybe it was worth a bit more.
And
he's a good player.
Yeah, he's a good player. I think he'll fill a need at the Cats, and obviously they replaced him with Tom Phillips. So I mean, it's probably a younger version of Smith, and the Hardigan addition makes sense with no Frawley and Sicily out for the year, and Stratton gone as well. So they filled the need there, but they just didn't pick up anyone. That's probably the
Yeah, I guess this could be pushed into a D maybe just because of the Phillips bargain, 65, and the fact they did get overs, or in their eyes, overs for Isaac Smith. So potentially, but like other years where they've gotten a Wingard or an Impey or Mira. Mm-hmm. Not this year, so they're losing a little bit of what they call it in exchange, pizzazz. I think they use that word. So the Falco's lost a bit of it. So guys like Core turned them down. So we'll see. So E plus maybe Hawthorn. So you can go off. Lead with the two teams I got. The big fat Fs.
Big fat Fs, yeah. So the Pies. So the talk of the trade period. So I think the Wells and Beams, list management decisions after, or probably before the grand final push. Beams after, Wells before. Just being a huge fan. I understand Beams has had personal issues, but obviously sensitive to that. But to get rid of Treloar, Stevenson, Phillips. There was talk of Cox too. All three will let go for unders. Just to get rid of contracts. So I think Treloar's on about, from what the Pies are paying, what was it, 900K over the next 5 years. Stevenson was on about 500, 600K. I think Phillips was on about 400, 500.
Yeah.
He would have got 600 if he, I think, made top 10 the DNF. So, I'd say about 1.5-ish off the cap. So,
and Cox was on $500,000 as well. So I think there were massive contracts for players of that caliber, and maybe they could have traded a Greenwood or a Chris Mayne, or even delisted these guys. Maybe they're more expendable than the Stevensons and Treloars.
Yeah, so I think the thing with the Pies is they've got the two Brown boys. They've got Josh Dacos. They've got Nick Dacos coming in next year. Who's potentially the best player in the country next year. So their future looks good, but I mean the Grundy contract doesn't look great at the moment too. So I think Darcy Moore's got a good contract, 2 years at about 800K. That's probably well deserved, but I think the list management needs a big rethink over there.
Yeah, because who else is getting big money? Like you'd think Penn will be side bottom. They'll be getting good coin. Maybe Jeremy Howe. So they do have some stars.
Yeah,
it's unfortunate they couldn't pinch that premiership, because when your players hit their prime and they demand cash, then that's when it becomes hard to maintain all of them. Whereas if you can win a premiership before they hit their prime and come out of contract, then you're in a sort of a better position. So just luck of a bad bounce.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
Bad luck.
the Rioli push off of Maynard. So that led to the shared goal. So it can flip like that. But I think the GWS model of paying the bulkier salary cap to a few players hasn't worked, and I think the Pies have gone down that track too. So hopefully they learn from that. The last step we gave was to the Freo Dockers, and that's just because of Hogan, because gave up 2 firsts for him 2 years ago, paid the world for him, and giving him up for just pick 54. The only positive is that not paying any of the contract, but just a huge foul, and didn't pick up anyone as well.
Yeah, I mean, this was a massive blunder, wasn't it? So they gave up pick 6, and I think pick 6 ended up being Ben King. So, I think they were just happy to get Hogan off their books. And that was the cost they were willing to, the hit they were willing to take. So I think Hogan's a bargain pickup for the Giants, and I think he can definitely contribute and be their sort of marquee player. I think his upside's still huge. So I think he's still relatively young for like a key position player.
Yeah, and I don't think Finn Layson or Himmelberg are your number one key. So if you can get his body right, GWS might not do as bad as people think after the Cameron loss.
Because you were a bit keen on Hogan, weren't you?
I think it could be the best move of the trade period if he gets his. Yeah, he's got to get right though. Like got to get fit. Got to dig in because he's pretend like he was
playing to the culture.
Yeah, he's a guy that's kicked 4 or 5 goals on rants. So in his heyday, so he's got the potential for sure.
Yeah, 100%. And they couldn't move Blakely. I think he wanted to stay. I think so. I still see Blakely as becoming a good 22 contributor. So.
Oh yeah, I think he just fell out of favour. So I think he's another addition to the Sarongs, Brayshaws, and Serras, and Hayden Young. So they got a good nucleus going forward.
So they didn't have a massive period, and what they didn't do well. So that's why they get an F. So I hope everyone sort of agrees with with us, but you disagree. Maybe you can tweet us. That'll be pretty nice. We do have a few more followers, so it's nice of them. Got another one today.
Yeah, good job by you. You're going setting the Twitter on fire.
Yeah, I installed Twitter, so just enjoying getting a few likes. I think the best way to get likes is attacking Kane Corns. A lot of people tend to agree with you.
lay off Corns. He's got enough haters.
Okay.
We'll leave it there. Hopefully, we got some. The next week we got a guest. Hopefully, so we'll keep you.
Can we say who? Oh, we probably won't say.
No, we won't say. Just in case.
Yeah, cool. All right, thanks for listening. See you, everyone.
See you guys.